History of psychology. The history of psychology. Major schools of thought. A great way to understand psychology's history is to see it as a timeline of dominant schools of thought, each with a different focus for answering the question: what is the root of behavior and mental processes? First, the philosophical roots. Before 1879, psychology has its origins in philosophy and physiology. Philosophical questions. Philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Descartes, Locke, and Hume debated questions about the mind body knowledge, empiricism versus nativism, and free will. Physiological influences. Scientists like Helmholtz studying reaction time and Gustav Fechner, psychophysics, began measuring the relationship between physical stimuli and mental sensations, showing that the mind could be studied scientifically. The birth of psychology, structuralism, late 1800s. Founder Wilhelm Wundt established the first psychology lab in 1879 in Leipzig, Germany. This date is often cited as the birth of modern psychology. Key figure Edward Titchener brought Wundt's ideas to the US and coined the term structuralism. Goal to analyze the basic structure of conscious experience by breaking it down into its fundamental elements: sensations, images, feelings. Primary method introspection. Looking forward, looking inward, trained participants would report their conscious experiences in response to stimuli. Decline. Introspection was considered too subjective and unreliable. It could not study animals, children, or complex topics like mental disorders. The reaction. Functionalism. Early 1900s. Key figure William James, influential American psychologist, wrote The Principles of Psychology, influenced by Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection. Goal to understand the function of consciousness and behavior, how they help us adapt to our environment. Instead of the what structure, they asked why function. Focus studied learning, habit formation, and problem solving. Had a broader interest in practical applications. Legacy paved the way for applied fields like educational and industrial psychology. A radical shift. Behaviorism 1910s to 1950s. Founders John B. Watson wrote the Behaviorist Manifesto. Psychology as the behaviorist views it. In 1930, later B.F. Skinner was highly influential. Argument psychology must be entirely objective and scientific. Since the mind is unobservable, it should be ignored. Psychology should study only observable behavior. Key concept stimulus response SR relationships. Behavior is learned through interactions with the environment via classical conditioning, Pavlov, Watson, and operant conditioning, Skinner. Famous quote Watson, give me a dozen healthy infants, and I'll guarantee to take anyone at random and train him to become any type of specialist I might select. The unconscious mind, psychoanalysis, early 1900s. Founder Sigmund Freud, Viennese neurologist. Focus the role of the unconscious mind, early childhood experiences, and unconscious conflicts in shaping behavior and personality. Key concepts the mind structure ID, ego, superego, psychosexual stages, defense mechanisms, dream analysis, and free association. Legacy while many of Freud's specific theories are not scientifically supported today, his emphasis on the unconscious, the importance of childhood, and the use of talk therapy were profoundly influential. The third force, humanistic psychology. 1950s to 1960s. Key figures Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow. Argument: a reaction against the deterministic view of both behaviorism, we are controlled by our environment, and psychoanalysis, we are controlled by unconscious instincts. Focus: human potential, free will, self actualization, and the inherent goodness of people. Emphasize the importance of positive self concept. Legacy: laid the groundwork for positive psychology and influenced client centered therapy. The cognitive revolution, 1960s to present. The shift: a return to study of the mind. The development of computers provided a new metaphor, the mind as an information processor. Focus: the scientific study of mental processes, thinking, memory, perception, problem solving, and language. Key idea: behavior is not just a response to stimulus, but is influenced by our thoughts, interpretations, and expectations. Legacy: cognitive psychology is now one of the dominant forces in psychology, linking with neuroscience and computer science, cognitive science. The modern era, eclecticism and neuroscience, 1980s to present. Today, there is no single dominant school. Psychologists take an integrative or bio psychosocial approach, recognizing that behavior and mental processes are influenced by biological factors, gene, brain chemistry, hormones, psychological factors, thoughts, emotion, personality, social factors, culture, family, peers. The most significant recent trend is the rise of cognitive neuroscience, which uses brain scanning technology to link cognitive processes with biological brain activity. Sample exam answer, timeline format. For a short answer question, you could summarize. Psychology began with Wundt's structuralism 1879, focusing on the structure of the mind via introspection. William James' functionalism then emphasized the purpose of behavior. Watson's behaviorism rejected the mind, focusing only on observable behavior. Simultaneously, Freud's psychoanalysis emphasized the unconscious. In the 1950s, humanistic psychology rebelled, focusing on free will and growth. The cognitive revolution, 1960s, brought the study of the mind back, and today the field is integrated, emphasizing this bio psychosocial model and neuroscience.